Lecture number 2, Dynamics of Recovery. The title of this talk with its diagram is The Dynamics of Recovery. In this series of talks with diagrams about the progression of the disease of alcoholism and the process of recovery, I will use a ski slope figure to describe the process from beginning drinking through the loss of control and to future problems. For the complete understanding of this process, one should have worked through the first diagram and talk on the symptoms and phases. This is the opening talk of the series. For this Dynamics of Recovery presentation, I begin again calling to mind that 1 out of 10 drinkers will develop a serious problem in the course of their lifetime. So I have this 1/10 there, as well as the letter X in a circle, which is my way of saying that I believe that there is a pre-existing factor or factors that may be present for the eventual physical addiction for the person. Not being able to name it, it becomes the X factor. Along my ski slope, you will see little signposts indicating some of the experience accompanying the drinking, such as an increased capacity for the drinks, memory loss, sneaking, gulping, but then that leads up to LOC, my chosen way of indicating the series, the really big one, the loss of control. I will always describe this in 2 different ways. The loss of control over the amount of alcohol consumed, or a loss of control over the ability to abstain from the use. In our society, it is the weekend, periodic, drinking to excess person that is the more common pattern, and this is the pattern that produces the social damage to family, to job, to friends, to society. And like a proverbial snowball rolling down the hill, there come the problems in this social area. The problems of bar fights, of wife and children abused, of drunk driving arrests, of loss of jobs or promotions, all in this kind of social area keep happening. Because the person can still stop drinking for periods of time, there is no understanding at this point that he has crossed into the line of addiction, and it is only a matter of time before this person will again, even after periods of abstaining, with a change of pattern, quite often will get back to drinking. The wedges on my snow slope, is referring to the pressures that are brought to bear on this person for periods of sobriety. Maybe a threatened divorce, or the court system may demand no use of alcohol. A doctor may say for health reason he must stop all drinking. Or the boss may say no more calling sick on Monday. But the thinking part of the alcoholic has become a big part of the illness. And I show this by the great brown cloud of fog. This person can no longer trust his own thinking about whether to drink or not to drink. The problem is made worse because the big I, or ego, is not going to give up the struggle to be free to drink whenever he chooses. The hard knocks are going to happen. The bottom is going to have to be reached, hopefully before death or insanity. A shock experience can be the recovery process. It will likely be one of the type that I've mentioned above. If the illness has not progressed to the stage of withdrawal symptoms, the person can again make the decision to stop drinking and try to do something about the, quote, problem. Later, when there are withdrawal complications, there may well need to be a process of detoxification in a detox center or the hospital. Whenever I had an alcoholic come to me asking for assistance, I would always ask the person how he would get 3 days away from the last drink. Just because they had not had, or he or she had not had a drink in the past hour, is never enough. They need to get the 72 hours free of drinking to be past withdrawal complication. One aspect of the physical addiction to alcohol that we have taught is the possibility of what we call flare-ups. Alcohol addicts have been able to refrain from drinking for a period of 6 weeks. Some can go for 6 months or even a year and then have a relapse return to drinking. It may be that in these periods, 5 to 7 weeks, 5 to 7 months, 11 to 13 months, that the temptation to have a drink is intensified. The person may find themselves dreaming about drinking. All the good resolves are swept away, and the return to use is present. The upward move to recovery after a shock experience, I will discuss with 6 terms. The first 3 will come under the word compliance. That shocking experience has given the person's attention like a hit between his eyes. The story is told of a fellow who had a mule, hitched him to the plow and said he'd giddy up, and the mule wouldn't move. Gave him a whip with a lash with the whip, he still didn't move. Then he goes out in front, picks up a fence post and hits him between the eyes. We call that getting the person's attention. And so, with recognition, admission, and petition, the process of getting help is begun. Education about alcoholism can be a good place to begin. Court referrals to information sharing programs are helpful. In the recognition step, our man can come to know alcoholism as a disease. He may even go so far as to say that he has some of the factors, some of the symptoms included in the progression. In other words, he may make the admission that it is my disease. That moves him to the third step, which is called petition, or simply ask for help. While in the compliance mode, these 3 steps, can be taken over and over and over again like a treadmill. Help me, help me, help me get out of jail, help me get my job back, help me get my family back, help me get my health back, and I'll get back to my drinking. The continuing problem is in everyone's thinking, the problem drinker and many of those around him. It isn't that he must stop drinking altogether, he thinks. He just needs to learn how to stop after a few. With the activated addiction, the crossing of the line of loss of control, that is not going to happen. The first drink has become the problem for this person, and it is a very difficult lesson to learn. Agreeing to abstain long enough to eliminate or reduce the confronting problem will be the pattern over and over and over again. The compliance for a time, then a return to problem drinking has people surrounding this one losing all confidence in him. An attitude of hopelessness is generated in all the parties caught up in the web of alcohol addiction. But miracles do happen. There is no magic pill to be given, but insight comes and the battleground moves to a higher level. Dr. Harry Tiebout, a psychiatrist who was well known in this field, wrote in detail about compliance versus surrender in the therapy for the alcoholic. You can see that surrender leads to item number 4, acceptance on the road to recovery. For this person, there is no longer any doubt about the first drink being the problem drink. This fact is now 100% accepted. Slips can, relapses can, and will likely happen for some, but others will make their last drunk truly their last one. Again, I remind you that it is not because the alcoholic is dumb, stupid, immoral, bad that this has happened to him, but they have activated an addiction, and it is possible for them to lead a happy life without the drinking habit. A word of caution needs to be made to the addicted person to be careful about mood-altering chemicals. The love affair with the chemical high may lead to a dependence on other substances also. To complete my steps to recovery, you will see willingness and finally new life. By willingness, I have added the words want power. The question for the recovering person is, how seriously do you want a sober life? For the alcoholic, alcohol has become the center of their life. We could describe it as the hitching post of their existence. All of their life is now formed around the drinking pattern. As you see from my diagram of the circle with the bottle in the middle, to eliminate the jug from the center of this hitching post existence, all of their life is formed around the drinking pattern. So their money, their family, the job, friends, all these circles emanate around the jug. To eliminate the drinking from this person's life can produce a vacuum in the situation, and something is going to be sucked in to take its place. HP, hitching post, can stand for that, but it could also stand for higher power. The first 3 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, a most successful international approach to help sick and suffering alcoholics, are: number 1, admit that life has become unmanageable due to drinking. 2, come to believe that a power greater than themselves could restore one to sanity. 3, make the decision to turn their life and their will over to God as they understand Him. There is a great deal of wisdom revealed in these 3 steps, a whole lot of honesty, and much spiritual freedom. You don't have to have a degree in theology to apply these steps to a beginning recovery program. You can also see in this program that the hitching post of the booze can be filled almost from the very beginning with the concept of the higher power. If one wants a new life, there needs to be a willingness to do whatever it takes to achieve the new life. Rather than it being a major tragedy, Many times when the person returns to the drinking habit now, it quickly reinforces the learned truth that the first drink is really the one that must be avoided. The need for life changes and support in making these changes will be an ongoing effort. The saying that nothing comes easily is certain true for the recovery person. The Serenity Prayer reveals the nature of some of the changes this person must deal with. The prayer goes, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. God bless.